This video might piss off some people, but who cares? So who would you choose, a bodybuilder or an athlete? I'm talking about someone that's muscular, lean, and athletic versus the bodybuilder that's just big and chunky. Let's give a scenario. So let's say you were in nature and you had to survive. Who would you choose? This guy or that guy? You might only choose the bodybuilder if you want to use him as a decoy. So if there's like a predator, like a lion trying to come at you, they'll go for the easier option, the slower option, and it's also got more meat. That's literally the only thing I could think of. And for example, for me, I can't imagine being, let's say, edge of a cliff somehow got there. I can't imagine not being able to lift my own body weight up. So I pretty much fall to my death just because I never had the strength to lift myself up. Although I can lift, I don't know, 100, 200 kilos in the gym. Now, if your goal and purpose is to become a bodybuilder, then it makes sense to do that, since legacy and purpose is above everything else. And I'm talking about the people that take steroids. I'd rather risk 20 years of my life if in return I got some kind of legacy. I'm sure most people will anyways, rather than just live an average life, since the quality of life matters more than the length of it. Because otherwise, what is the purpose of life? Like someone like Arnold makes sense. That guy created a massive legacy and just generational wealth just from his bodybuilding career, which led up to many other things in the future. Now back to the original topic, muscle don't equals strength. For example, there's loads of powerlifters that are smaller than bodybuilders, of course, by miles, even though they can lift much more. I'm sure one of you know a popular YouTuber that does that, makes videos to do cleaning, and I'll tell you something like that. I'm not trying to bash people, or bodybuilders mainly, that just focus on muscle. That's it. That's the whole lifestyle, the whole, just pretty much everything. I just don't see a point of it, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well, once you actually start to think about it. On top of that, most guys get into it just because they want to look attractive or some kind of trauma in the past, most likely. But either way, the guy that isn't packed with full muscle and the guy that's lean looks more attractive regardless. Muscle alone don't make you masculine, which is what it's portrayed as mostly. The main reason will be mindset, but that's for another topic. There's loads out there that lift weight, and if you were to know them personally, you would realize how feminine they actually are. I can't personally imagine sacrificing my fighting capability just to put on muscle, pretty much losing the ability to self-defend. As a side note, those bodybuilders that don't even do legs or barely touch legs, like once a week for something like legs, just doesn't make sense to me. Also, it should be like twice a week at least. But I get people usually just do the top half, since that's the one that they show off. They're just doing it for looks pretty much, not purpose or longevity or just anything like that. If you're one of those people that don't train legs, just doing the top, if anything, I'd say you're more feminine than masculine, because it makes no sense to actually not train the lower body, which is the thing that's actually carrying the whole thing, the whole human structure. And honestly, it just sounds like you're trying to mask some kind of past experience, insecurity, or trauma, and just pretty much feeding your ego. Your legs are the foundation, so why wouldn't you put loads of focus onto it? Now, me personally, I don't lift heavy weights because I want to be an athlete instead and just have control over my body. Having strength, being flexible, being mobile, and all those sort of stuff. Just pretty much being great at everything when it comes to the body, rather than just being a mastery at muscle size, muscle mass, or whatever. Now for me, now I don't lift weights. I've never really lifted weights. I think the most I went was 1 or 2 months in the gym with my dad, and that was pretty much it. But since then, I don't really prefer to lift weights, and I prefer to use body weights. It just feels right where I'm currently at. I might change that in the future. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm not really bashing the people that just do it for the bodybuilding, just as a whole. But if their main focus is just pure muscle mass, it just makes no sense, and no matter which way you look at it, especially if you're not doing it as some kind of purpose or some kind of bodybuilding competition. I'd rather be able to run for a long while at different speeds than to get tired from just going up and down the stairs. Most of these bodybuilders can't even run for a minute without breathing heavily. If you got a hybrid where you build a muscle mass and keeping the athletic side of things, and that's a good thing, I guess. But if you're just doing mainly focused on just muscle mass, then that's just completely stupid in my opinion. I'm just talking in a general sense. Most people go to the gym just to build muscle. That's pretty much it. Now I understand if you're skinny, yeah, it makes sense. But most guys just carry on, just getting bigger and bigger. Like, when does it stop? You're risking your health, pretty much, your longevity, just your athleticism, mobility, flexibility, all that stuff just for muscle mass. It makes no sense. Muscle mass doesn't even equal strength anyways. So I don't really get the point of it. Especially about it being healthy long-term, just lifting heavy. Like, so many people at the old age, come back with like joint pains, injuries, and all sorts of stuff. You won't really get that if you did body weights, or at least not constantly lift heavy and focus more on technique. I'm not hating on bodybuilders, I just thought I'd make a video about my opinion, since it might help you see things in a more broader sense. I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks like this, or at least agrees once you've actually heard the concept. Yeah, so just let me know if I lost the plot, or if you also agree. You can put in the comments the pros and cons of both sides. The only thing I can think of for bodybuilding is just muscle mass, because that doesn't even equal strength. And especially when it comes to just longevity, health-wise, and just natural ways humans are supposed to move, it just doesn't make sense at all.